You know, I kind of got, I go back and forth between the airbrush idea a lot, and I think probably one of the things, because, you know, I was always very influenced at what my father had to say about things. And he said, as far as airbrush was concerned, he says, everything that's done with an airbrush looks commercial.
That's true.
It's hard to do something with an airbrush that doesn't look commercial. Well, maybe you want it to look commercial, so then you use an airbrush. But he always, he never liked airbrush much. He says, oh, it looks too commercial. Now, what he meant by that, I don't know. But he was an artist.
He never used an airbrush, did he?
Oh, yeah, he played with them. They used to use it a lot on trucks for a while. There was a big heyday of doing airbrush, big signs on trucks with airbrush shadows, but only shadows, in the 20s.
How long does it take you to do that sculptured in glass sign?
How long?
Yeah.
Maximum an hour. You know, when you got everything sitting there right next to you. Because I got the plan of the airbrush over there in Movie World. And that was for the guy that had the glass shop in there.
You want to run over these bikes with me, Dutch? What kind of bike you got going here?
That's a Scott.
Who makes that?
England, and they are a very old company, and they just never changed their design. They just kept the thing the same way year after year. And actually, the book on Scott's a real interesting. In fact, it's almost a tragedy.
His life story, you mean?
Yeah, the whole thing. He had all kinds of, and he completely lost interest in the motorcycles for a while and started making some crazy little three-wheel thing he called a sociable, which was like a sidecar with two people in the sidecar. It still had basically a motorcycle layout on the right side of it and a sidecar, but the sidecar was real big and the people sat in the sidecar.
What year would he have died?
He died, I think, somewhere around 1935 or something like that. But from pneumonia. But he always kept that design. And there were so many people that liked it over in England that they bought the company out and continued to make the things, although they had nothing to do with the original company. And this one is actually a 47.
47?
But it's the same as a 25.
Now, what's the deal with the coolers?
It's a liquid-cooled engine. It's a 600cc water-cooled two-stroke, and it also has an auto-lube like everybody's talking about now, where you don't have to mix your oil and gas together.
Yeah.
That takes care of it all by itself. That was in 25. Nothing new.
That's a two-stroke bike.
The two-stroke, in fact, the only way you could explain the Scott engine to anyone is you'd have to take it apart in front of them. If you look at the engine design on paper, it's completely unlike any other gasoline engine. Completely unlike any other gasoline engine made.
They make them today yet in England?
That you can still get one on special order. There's a guy by the name of Silk over in England that makes them. But you got to go over and buddy with him for a while and make sure that he likes you and the whole thing, and then he'll whip you up a Scott.
What's the bike next to it?
That's a Swiss military motorcycle. They were never marketed as a civilian bike at all. It purely was military. And it's kind of crazy. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It's got a lot of blades.
Yeah.
This thing's got 8 speeds.
Does?
Yeah. And it's all very practical.
Show them the map holder.
Easy to, oh yeah, the map holder and everything. It's full of trick stuff. It also comes with a standard stock with a 9-foot piece of rope. Now, we don't know what they're trying to tell us about the 9-foot piece of rope. If you're supposed to tow someone else, or that's to tow you. I mean, but it comes as part of the original equipment. 9-foot piece of rope, beautifully braided on both ends. The standard equipment, this piece of rope.
That's for the military?
Yeah, Swiss military.
Is there a place to carry the guns?
Yeah, it had holsters on it, too.
Are you going to recondition?
Yeah, I'm going to fix that up. Yeah, I approve of a lot of the design. It's only got one flaw in it, really. It handles terrible.
No.
And I was talking to Bud about that, about how bad the Condor handled, and he says, yeah, I know. He says, when I was over at the 6-day trials in Europe that he rode it a number of times in, he says there was a Swiss team over there at the time, and he says, and every time I came around a corner, there was 3 or 4 of them guys down in the rocks or in the bushes somewhere. It really handles very bad. It's a clumsy motorcycle. No one has the magic of the handle of the Limeys. Nobody. The Japs may make beautiful little engines and all that sort of thing, but the bikes that handle, the British know the magic. And they don't even know why they know it, but they know it. The British know how to make bikes that handle good.
Road bike.
Any kind of. When it comes to handling, the Limeys have got a magic about it.
What's this end bike here?
That's an old Beezer there, nothing particularly exotic there. That's just an old BSA, the 49 BSA. Standard thing was pretty common bike. Nothing really special about it.
What are you doing with these bikes?
I'd fix them up and play with them.
What's your favorite bike of all time?
Indian Scout.
Yeah, an old Indian Scout. It's when I put the most miles on. I think I pushed that Indian Scout further than most people have ridden motorcycles.
You have one of the most beautiful little Indian Scouts you ever seen in your life.
You don't think the BMW is a handy little nifty bike, huh?
The BMWs have always been ill handlers, but you usually never find that out from BMW owners, because BMW has got this reputation of running so long without any trouble. I think that's based on the fact that most BMW riders are the type of people that maintain their machines. And I think another reason they got such a legendary staying together ability is that nobody who buys an underpowered, ill-handling, ugly motorcycle is also going to tell you it ever broke.
That's true.
Same thing with Volkswagens, right? Anybody buys an ugly little car, he's going to tell you it breaks. They're never going to admit it, so you don't get the truth. BMWs, if they're hammered hard, they'll bust just as quick as anything else. There is no magic super machine. If there was, there'd be only it.
Why do you think Harley didn't continue to advance their product after the...
I think Harley's attitude was they didn't need to do that. You know, Harley's never made more motorcycles than they could sell.
They haven't?
No.
People just buy them out of just because it says Harley Davidson.
Harley's always been managed well. They never build more motorcycles than they can sell. And I think Harley has always kind of been happy enough with status quo wherever they were. And let's face it, nobody ever advertised it anywhere else except Popular Mechanics or in a motorcycle magazine, when maybe there'd been only one of them up until recently, and that was never even in color. Who would have ever thought to see a motorcycle advertisement on a park bench or a billboard or in Life magazine? A motorcycle ad?
Yeah.
Never.
Where did Triumph drop their ball? When they built the 3-cylinder?
No, I think the Triumph thing just fits in with everything that's been happening in England. And it's, for one thing, at the time when they came out with the Trident,
Yeah.
it was time for a 4, not a 3. Anyone who would have built a 4 would have sold it. Anyone. I don't care who did it. At that particular period of time, the whole motorcycle world was ready for 4-cylinder engine. And Honda did it. And now everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
It was just a persistent, I think, a part of the time. People wanted a 4-cylinder motorcycle. There was no 3-cylinder. All they had to do was look through history, and every 3-cylinder engine that's ever been made was not a big seller. Never was. Clearly, you look way back in automotive history, the 3-cylinder engine. Like the Compound, which was an American 3-cylinder engine. You never heard of it, right? The DKW, Saab, that used a 3-cylinder DKW engine. Sell a jillion of them in Europe, not here. It was 3-cylinder, that won't work. There's something just oddball about 3-cylinder engines.
Do they still sell Triumphs?
I really don't know what's going on over there anymore. Yeah, I don't think they're...
5-cylinder engine.
Yeah, they got a 5 out now,
Yeah,
one of the
oh,
German
yeah,
companies.
yeah.
Yeah, well, the Germans always been great on making them crazy numbers. Now, airplane engines, of course, are usually oddball. The radials, but they have to be.
Well, the Germans originally, when they started screwing with that 5-cylinder engine that was designed for a diesel, they found out with 5 cylinders, with an odd amount of cylinders in a diesel, it ran smoother than with an even number.
Yeah.
Somehow I got dumped into their gasoline engine where they said they could get the performance of an inline 6-cylinder, the smoothness of it, yet the economical aspects of a 4-cylinder by using 5.
Yeah, I know diesels have 5.
But it's back to the same thing like cars that look like airplanes. They've never sold.
That's true.
Fairdian motorcycles. Now they're trying it again.
Who?
Fairdian motorcycle. The motorcycle with a body on it. You know, you can't see the engine.
Okay. Fair enough.
Every time someone tries that, it's a disaster. They don't sell
Bat Girl had in Batman.
Yeah.
A bat cycle.
them. Yeah, by the way, we don't know what ever happened to that little bat scooter. That disappeared somewhere. I think I threw it in the trash. But a Fairdian motorcycle never sold. I think they will now. I think the motorcycle thing has changed around. A Fairdian motorcycle will now sell. Because we've got people riding motorcycles nowadays that are totally different from what it was 30 years ago. People are absolutely different. They don't even care about the engines. All they do is care about it working. They don't want to look at the engine. They don't want to mess with the engine. They see no beauty in the engine. Every time they get on it, the thing fires up with an electric starter and away they go. They go over to the dealer, get their oil changed, get it washed, get it serviced.
And now cars and motorcycles cost about the same.
You even notice that nobody waves at each other anymore, motorcyclists. That irritates me. And if your bike breaks, do you think the next motorcyclist come by is going to stop and help you? Nope. He don't care about you if he's riding one of these, these bikes that you can't fall in love with. See, like a thing like the Scott is a cantankerous, weird motorcycle, right? And like a Velocat was a classic example of a cantankerous motorcycle. You look at a Velocat, it's the most beautiful design you can think of, but sometimes they just absolutely refuse to start. And you had to love them. You pat them on the tank and say, "Come on, sweet baby, you're going to run," and it would do it. But if you didn't like that motorcycle, that thing wouldn't start up for you. So the only way you could live with that motorcycle was to fall in love with it. Not like the first K-model Harleys. With the magnetos, everybody had so much trouble starting them. I never had a bit of trouble with them because I liked them. It's, see, a love affair with a motorcycle is the same sort of thing as a love affair with a woman. Suppose you got one that never argued. Wouldn't that be a bore? She did everything you ever wanted her to do, right? So you get on a motorcycle that does the same thing, and the motorcycle's a big bore. Fires up every morning, does everything it's supposed to do, never argues, everything works, right? It never fails, it's there,
For that reason,
right? No. You can't fall in love with a motorcycle that everything works right on.
That's right, I never thought about that.
Well, yeah, wouldn't it be a bore to have an old lady that just never argued, did the same thing all the time?
Same place.
That's why I like weird motorcycles that no one ever heard of. Because then I can take them all to pieces.
I forgot to give you this.
Oh,
It's a little
that's
rat.
neat.
Little rat snake pin here.
Who's making them? Kazan?
I still have my
See,
original
Kazan's
recipe.
business card?
For crying out loud, that's far out.
Oh, wow.
That's a business card.
That's a business card. The trouble is, it keeps falling out of your wallet. It's heavy. It's a solid piece of brass.
Good Lord.
And that's porcelain. Yeah.
Pretty jazzy.
Yeah, he makes these little pins and stuff back east.
And one of these days I'm going to put
You know
my rat
something?
paint kit together as soon as I find the glue.
I don't have the vaguest notion of how that's done.
I think they did it in Japan. Silk screen and process.
why I carry it. I don't know how it was done. I don't know how this thing was made.
Dennis,
That's it.
There's no way they can be on the strike for 3 years.
What's that?
The flat tracks are hardly always win.
That's a different world.
Yeah, but that's more what the American people.
Well, we're running out of tape here, and we're gonna let Dutch go back to his cronies, and I want you guys out there to do me a favor. If there's anything we left out that you got problems with, like whatever it might be, if you're working, like example, in a dump and there's fumes coming at you and the paint won't dry, whatever it is, I want you to write me, Big Daddy Roth, a letter and let me know what the problem is, and I'll get on the horn to Dutch. If the two of us can't figure it out, I don't know where you're going to find the answer. You got, like you're working under a tree, which I always thought was best, tree because there's no rent, nobody bugging you out there, and you got a problem with the striping not drying, or brush don't go right, or you got problems with the brush. I want you guys to get hold of me, because we don't know what the problem is out there. Until you write me or call me and let me know, I have no idea what you're looking for. I think Dutch is giving you the best of the 2 generations that he's had in his family of the sign painting and striping, and with the little rat pink pen now, I know he's going to do a whole lot better. So see you later, gang. It's Big Daddy Roth signing off.
Hmm.
Doer.